There is one thing stronger than all the armies of the world put together, and that is an idea whose time has come. Hello and a very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching the special presentation of Sansad TV, The Journey of Startups. And in today's edition, let's hear the story of EV startup Zypp and its founders. If you regularly order food, groceries, or other goods online, you might have seen a delivery agent arriving on a green electric scooter with Zypp's brand name on the side. Zypp Electric is a Gurugram-based startup providing electric vehicles for last-mile delivery to companies looking for more eco-friendly delivery fleet solutions. Zypp Mobility offers drivers and electric vehicles to companies that want goods delivered. It also provides delivery agents with electric vehicles and delivery tasks from its client companies.
Zypp is my second business. While I was working in my first business with a name called Let's Flaunt, I was never very content because though I was making good money, there was good profitability in the business, my life was settled, but there was something more that I wanted to do. There was some kind of, I felt that there was nothing that I could create beyond a certain level. And so we were always exploring. Akash and I were always looking out for more opportunities where we can have a deeper impact.
I have a very strong belief in the sustainability factor, and pollution is a massive problem right now. It's amplifying with every day, and I guess Zypp it's solving that problem day in and day out, and we continue to scale and solve this problem.
All its vehicles come with the swappable batteries that allow delivery agents to swap out discharged batteries for fully charged ones. Zypp delivery executives have the choice of either charging the spare battery at home or getting it charged at a Zypp facility, for which they would be charged a separate small fee. The vehicles are IoT enabled so that both delivery agents and companies can track their usage, including location details and charging status. All right, Akash, welcome to Sansad TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, so your tagline says that you're on a mission
Yes.
to revolutionize this EV space
Correct.
across the world. Tell me, how did this journey begin?
Yeah, so journey has been very interesting. I had a background of being an engineer and then an MBA, right? And then worked for 10 years in different companies, right? My always, as a kid, there was a dream that I saw that I would build a company that will solve a huge problem in the world. And that's a dream that has been niggling me throughout my corporate career, right? So the 10 years I worked in companies like Dell, Airtel, MobiKwik, Snapdeal gave me a lot of learning and courage to basically launch something of my own. Now, why electric and why sustainability? Typically, I saw that the world is suffering from this problem of pollution and climate change, right? And as I caught that a lot of people say this now, that we are the first generation who are seeing climate change happen, right? There's rains happening in October, September.
It's visible, yeah.
And we're the first ones, or the last ones actually, who will be able to solve it in some way, right? So that's the key thing that triggered me. And this pollution problem in Delhi was another reason that I said that why don't I do something which can solve the problem, right? And I was seeing this globally being picked up, sustainable electric vehicles picking up steam globally. There was nothing electric, right? And I said that if I have to do something, and this will be my startup, where it will lead people to go electric, it will solve the problem of pollution, it will give and impact lives to a lot of millions of people in terms of their lifestyles. And that's how we started 5 years back.
So 5 years back, you got together with your partners.
Yeah.
What was it like? You quit your job. Did the family support you? Was it very cushy? I'm sure it wasn't.
Oh, it was not. See, one thing is that if you have something which is very, very strong as a dream inside you, I think you need to take that leap of faith, right? So for me, when I thought of this venture, I actually didn't tell my family, right? For about 6
Really?
months. Six months, it was like undercover operation, where I was building this company. I registered this company, I started building the tech team around it. And the day when I quit, that's when I told them that I'm quitting and this company is now live, right? And I'm building this. About 2 years, they were not able to consume it. The initial 2 years, they were still telling me, you're doing so well. But now I think they feel like a little bit of pride in saying that yes, he's building a company and it's doing fine. But yeah, I think you need to cover those steps in your startup journey and put your leap of faith to do something right.
But Akash, I'd like to understand, what was that trigger that really motivated you to take that leap of faith?
See, frankly, this trigger was when I was working in Airtel, right? And this was about 5 years of my career already after my MBA. Someone asked me this question that, Akash, you're a very hardworking individual, right? You slog yourself so much. What do you want in life? And then this individual, he pushed me to do an act, right? A personal act. He said that this is your weekend, write 100 things you want in your life. And just put a nice diary, take a nice pen, new pen, just put down your 100 dreams. The first dream when I sat down on that weekend and I started writing was that the first dream was that I want to be an entrepreneur and create a large company of my own. And since then it was niggling me again and again, right? It was biting me that when you want to do this, Akash, right? And so I was on a search of a lot of ideas, right? I actually, before launching this company, I would have worked on 4 or 5 different ideas. One startup actually we created with my co-founder Rashi, right?
Okay.
One startup we already created while I was not a full-time there. I was working as a consultant helping around. But that was our first leap of faith of learning. And then we learned enough to basically launch this huge startup because I knew that this can be really huge. The journey will be really long, but I was committed to do this journey. Right? So.
All right, so then EV space and then finding the investors. How did that happen? How much did you invest? How did you go to your investors? How did you get them to say yes? Because 2017, EV perhaps was still in a nascent stage, if I may say so.
True. Yeah, absolutely. No, EVs, I would say now are becoming a little bit of an infancy where it is catching attention and there's a lot of government support, no doubt about it. But yeah, when we started 2017, nobody was thinking electric,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
There were no good OEMs, charging, everything was an issue, financing, right? All of these were issues. But I think one thing was very clear, that this transition from petrol to electric will happen, right?
Yeah.
That was something that was very clear in my head, that it has to happen. And there will be services which can actually put that impetus to adoption, right? Otherwise, people buying and then finding a charging point themselves and then finding financing themselves is not going to happen, right?
True.
Someone has to be the catalyst.
Yeah.
And that's how this venture came along, that if I can be that catalyst with this company to basically make people transition or accelerate the adoption of electric vehicle adoption in the country, then it can be a great company that I'm building.
Yeah.
So initially, lot of problems to be solved, right? In terms of finding the right OEMs, the right business model, the right customers. And then once we created all of that and invested our capital, right? About 25-30 lakhs we invested, along with, leaving all our cushy jobs, salaries, titles,
True.
ESOPs, everything left, started from ground zero. But then, when your vision is really strong and you're committed, to solve a problem, I think then I would say that destiny plays a role, luck plays a role,
right.
and then you find the direction, right? You need to just be committed and, dogged about your mission. So we were dogged, we were, finding the right people to work with, and then somehow investors also, kind of liked the thought, while they were always concerned that electric vehicles still are not there in the country. How are you trying to solve this problem? But then we continued to give our vision to them that yes, it will happen. Someone will have to do it. And we, having learned so much about EVs for the last 5 years, we are the best teams who's performing this, right, in the country, right? Nobody knows electric vehicles and their adoption better than us, right? We've solved the entire ecosystem around us.
Yeah.
That's how investors now learn about us and, talk about us.
And then, as you said, that when you really want to do something, you maneuver your way and everything connives around that.
Believe that a lot.
Fame. Yeah. Look at that fame, the impetus that the government gave, the policies of the Niti Aayog. How much did that help you?
Oh, fame has been a good impetus, frankly, since the time, I would say last year, when there was a FAME 2 and then there was in fact, a bigger rider from the state subsidies also coming along. Our business has actually grown 15x in the last 12 months, right? That's a crazy growth, and it's all on the back of fame, right? The fame that's constructed well with a great intent of electric vehicle adoption. And I think, I was talking to some people, right? In some of the countries which are way ahead of India, right? they still, now they have a 20% penetration of electric vehicles, new addition in their country. Still they have subsidies on electric vehicle adoption. We are at less than 1% of electric vehicle, 2% at max that we'll reach by the end of this year. I think FAME should continue in that sense to put that impetus for businesses like ours. And if you want to all align to kind of solve the problem of pollution and climate change and, you know, electric vehicle adoption and get India independent of, you know, the fuel problem, right, which is global, then I think is the right way to kind of build that journey. So,
Right,
yeah,
but
Niti Aayog
back
has
to
been a
your
great support.
business model
Yeah.
again. How did market validation come for you? Because again, I go back to 2017. That
Yeah.
was pretty early in this business.
Correct. Yeah. So frankly, you see, I'll tell you, when we started in 2017, essentially we launched in 2018 towards the start of that. So we were understanding that what are the business models that will work in this domain, right? And when we said that we want to solve the problem of pollution, we figured out that which are the places where maximum number of, you know, kilometers are being ridden on petrol bikes.
Yeah.
We learned that it is mostly last mile where maximum commutes are happening. So 66% of our commutes, there are about 300 million trips which happen in India every day. 66% of those trips are last mile trips, right? 2/3 of those. And hence about 70% of all pollution which happens is in the last mile. Now within last mile, which is the biggest area, it's delivery, right?
Yeah.
Because those delivery boys who are riding 100, 150 kilometers every day, they are actually, you know, being using the fuel the most and actually impacted with their earnings also the most
Right.
because of the rising fuel prices. Right?
True, true.
And that's where pollution is the most. So we said that and this is obviously directional, right? Because we were trying different things, we were learning what will work in the market. And then we realized that yes, delivery boys, if we solve their problem and we move last mile delivery to go electric, then I think it's a beautiful business model,
Yeah.
right? Because the boy who's delivering, he's earning more now, he's saving more now because his fuel cost is down. The companies who are like the likes of food delivery companies or e-commerce companies or grocery delivery companies, they are also having a little bit more margin and a little more more predictability in their, you know, entire
Right.
business model, because now there's someone who's giving them a large fleet and delivering on electric. So there's savings there. And essentially the entire ecosystem works around us in that sense. There are OEMs who are working with us, there are battery companies who are working with us, there are
Right.
financing companies who are working with us, and all of that then come together on a tech platform which is Zypp, right? So yeah, so I think we didn't start essentially that this is what we want to do. We were very clear that we want to solve the problem of pollution with electric vehicles. And then the consumer demand actually pulled us into this business model. All the food delivery companies, all the e-commerce companies,
Right.
all the grocery delivery companies were on our head that can't you deliver for us? We want to go electric, right? We want to go electric, can't you deliver for us? And that actually led us to be where we are in terms of our largest fleet deployment in this space.
So everything conspired for you and not against you. But let me play devil's advocate here,
Sure.
Akash. What about these EVs, these scooters catching fire?
Yeah.
That's like a big deterrent for the market, for the consumer.
See, I think every technology shift which happens, right, it has to go through a lot of tests, right? You talk about Tesla, caught
Yeah.
fire. You talk about SpaceX, the rockets caught fire, right? You talk about petrol bikes and petrol cars, right? When they started 100 years back, there was, you know, some of these things, right? Now, I think that is a deterrent, no doubt, in the mind of the consumer. But one thing is clear, that it is a direction that we need to work better, right? And why these battery fires happen, there are a few reasons for that. One, the thermal packaging needs
Yeah.
to be right.
Yeah.
The electronic packaging needs to be right. And the mechanical packaging needs to be right. If these three things, any one of these things are, you know, taken a shortcut, then it might be an issue, right?
True.
So I think, which is why now there are a lot of new policies in terms of battery safety, new compliances which the government have launched to ensure that none of these things happen again, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think this is a step in the learning direction.
Right.
We thankfully have been working with the right OEMs and the right battery chemistries. I would, you know, thank my God that nothing like that has happened on
Touch wood.
our large fleet.
Touch wood.
But yeah, we are working very closely in terms of testing, in terms of ensuring that, you know, the compliances on the batteries and the safety for our drivers and our customers is right, to ensure that, you know, we grow from 7,000-8,000 to 80,000 and then 800,000, right?
But what about charging facility? Again, I think that also serves as a deterrent.
Yeah, so see, charging is, in our business, again, we realize that there are millions of people. What do we want to solve for? Do we want to solve for those millions of people, or we want to solve that in a hub and spoke model for those number of people who basically, want us to serve, right? So when we looked at the business model, we said that we will not do a spray and pray. We will kind of work with specific segments of consumers where the problem is the biggest, right? So hence we picked the model of delivery executives, where there are, they are a limited set, they work out of limited geographies, they go to a limited hub and spoke model, and that's where we kind of solve the charging ourselves or work with a few partners who are doing swapping for us, right? But I think that's, since we picked the model of density of delivery executives, it's a lot easier for us rather than spraying and praying and putting charging stations everywhere. There's no one to use, right?
Right. So going ahead, what are the targets? And currently, if
Yeah.
we talk about the current situation,
Yeah.
what's the fleet size going ahead?
Yeah.
Manufacturing, what are the targets?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we are almost at around 10,000 EVs deployed, right?
Okay.
7,000 are already running, about 3,000 orders placed, so coming, and So I think November odd, we are at about 10,000 EVs, right?
That's great.
Which is in 2 markets, Delhi NCR and Bangalore. We wanted to focus, go deeper in a couple of geographies and do this.
So allow me to ask that,
Yes.
why Bangalore and Delhi NCR
Sure,
particularly?
sure.
Yeah.
Good question. See, primarily what we are replacing is the fuel, right? We are replacing petrol.
Right.
We don't want to recreate a new business model. We know that e-commerce is big in Delhi, e-commerce is big in Bangalore, it's big in Mumbai, it's big in Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, right? So we want to basically go with those e-commerce food delivery companies who are our customers, right? And we ask them which is the place where you are generating maximum pollution or getting suffered the most in terms of your delivery fleet. Let us switch that to electric, right? So that's our business model. So we go with cities where there is high e-commerce penetration, high food delivery penetration, high grocery delivery penetration, and kind of replace them one step at a time, right? So yeah, so that's why these 2 large geographies we picked up. The next would be Mumbai, then Hyderabad, then Pune, then Chennai, right? So the entire 20 city plan is all ready with us. We are about 10,000 right now in terms of fleet size, roughly. We want to go to 100,000 in the next 18 months, right?
Okay.
That's a 10x
That's a
growth.
big number.
Yeah, that's a 10x growth that we clearly see that happen, right?
Okay.
Very clearly in front of us. The demand is all locked in. We want to kind of put the supply out. We want to put our tech right. We want to put the people in and kind of make this business.
Akash, we talked about your targets, your plans, your achievements, but tell me, what was the biggest challenge and how did you overcome, you and your team perhaps?
Sure. See, the biggest challenge was to create this entire EV ecosystem, right? When I say that what we do, we actually bring a lot of players in the entire EV ecosystem together on a single platform, which is, encompassing all of them on Zypp, right? So there are OEMs, there are battery companies, there are charging companies, there are financing companies, there are the drivers, and then there are the customers, and then there are recycling companies, and then there is technology which we put on top of that, right? And so the data science and the platform is what we build around all of this to ensure that all of these work in tandem every day on every delivery that we do. We do about 50-60,000 deliveries a day, which is about almost 1.52 million deliveries a month, right? That means we are knocking so many doors and delivering that happiness on green vehicles. We want to kind of learn this better and do this in a much more efficient way as we build this bigger from 10,000 to 100,000. But essentially that is what we've been able. Those were the challenges. That was not easy for us to crack. Each one of those.
I want to know the biggest one.
Sure. I would say the biggest one was finding the right OEM suppliers, right, who can make a good product, who can basically give us warranties, who can give us a good price, who can give us spare parts, who can stand with us when we are expanding. Because I don't want to build the bikes. I cannot do everything as a startup, right?
Exactly.
I have to do one problem right with focus, which is this entire EV ecosystem business model that we have, right? So yes, so finding those partners to work with us in this journey has been the biggest challenge, and thankfully over the last 5 years, we've been able to do that right now.
Okay, so going ahead, how do you see the entire EV ecosystem in India change in perhaps next 5 years?
Yeah. Oh, the next 5 years, I would see, at least my vision is to switch entire deliveries, 100% of deliveries happening across the country. My vision is to switch them all to green, sustainable, eco-friendly and pollution-free deliveries. That's my vision, right? I think on the consumer side, which is the B2C adoption, I think if in the next 5 years we are able to hit about 25-30% of consumers to go electric, that would be a good one, right, for us to achieve. Logistics, we should do much better. Personal, we should do about 30%. Logistics, if not 100, at least 80% to go sustainable electric.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds great. And what kind of support do you anticipate from the government going ahead?
I think couple of things. One, government is doing most of the things right in terms of FAME having there. I think there's more impetus in terms of the large states to kind of capture electric, like some parts of that has been done with Delhi, Maharashtra, even Gujarat tried that, right?
Yeah.
I think that model is very good, right, for an EV adoption and getting your hands away from the fuel and the rising prices. I think that'd be a good impetus. A support in terms of having drivers to kind of get some more on electric, or maybe have some kind of carbon coin feature if the government can create something like that. That if
What's
you're-
that? What's that? That
Yeah.
sounds
So
very
my
interesting.
point is that we save a lot of carbon, right? Today in India, if we start promoting that if you save carbon, you get some cashbacks or you get some incentives or you get some tax incentive or whatever. I think that'd be a great one from the government for the entire people to talk about. Oh, I saved so much carbon today. How much did you save? I think that is the culture that we are trying to build with Zypp. If the government can join our journey, then that'd be great.
All right. But before I wrap up this conversation, Akash, first generation entrepreneur,
Yeah.
quitting your cushy job, taking that leap of faith, what is your message to other budding entrepreneurs, generally in the startup ecosystem and particularly in the EV ecosystem?
Yeah, so I would say that you should have a very, very optimistic attitude if you're starting. Believe in yourself, while is a very cliched, quote, but I think that is what I believe in a lot, right? If you have that internal belief that you are out on your journey and you want to solve it and you're committed towards it and you're spending your 18 hours, 20 hours of the day solving that problem, I think that there are no shortcuts to that success, right? So yeah, you got to be committed, solving the problem day in and day out. If you're leaving your job, obviously you understand that. If you're starting afresh, then you need to commit those number of hours, build the right team to basically fill the cogs where you don't want to put your focus in. And yeah, team and your focus, your optimism and hard work takes you to glories.
Fantastic. And EV space?
EV space, I think there are a lot of opportunities, frankly, right?
Yeah.
Everything is an open box today. A lot of things can be still solved, right? We ourselves have kind of worked with about 20 such new startups. We've given them LOIs, we've given them, working opportunity, programs to support them, right? I think a lot of things can still be solved. And yeah, start now. This is the time if you are in the EV segment.
Right. So start now. This is the time. Akash, on that note, thank you so much for joining us and all the very best for all your future endeavors and creating this revolution.
Thank you so much.
Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye for now.